And I sort of, I sneak into the back of the room and I sit there and I don't make myself known or obvious. And because I'm just there just in case. I'm not doing really anything on the session. I'm just there in case they need an extra person because it's an important session. And anyways, immediately Paul McCartney walks in the room, beelines for me, and I'm just red in the face. And he beelines for me and he says, "Hi, I see they replaced the other guy with a younger, skinnier one. I'm Paul."
Like he needs to introduce himself.
Immediately, it was like, "Oh, there's a new person in the room. I need to be polite. I'm going to introduce myself." And I was so embarrassed because I'm not trying to make my presence known and trying to be a good second assistant and just blend into the background. And but he made me feel very welcome and and at ease immediately. And then, the other highlight from that was that that was the day that they were recording with the children's choir. And he walked out and said hi to all the kids and none of them knew who he was. And he started cracking jokes and just said to the kids, "Hey, go when you go home, we'll tell your parents who you worked with today." And was cracking up and everybody was cracking up. And it was just and the kids were like, "Okay, thanks, sir." Or "Thanks, mister." Well, I'll tell my parents, because they're it was a children's choir. They were 5 or 6. And also they're kids that do this all the time. They're like a LA session children's choir. They go and do these sessions with artists. So they were unfazed by being in a recording studio. But their parents are going to flip out there with a Beatle that day. So anyways, it was that was a really fun moment. And then also the other thing I remember is he was doing a Stevie Wonder, or Stevie Wonder was going to come in and play some harmonica on a song, and Stevie was running late. And so Paul said, "Oh, don't worry about it." And everybody was getting kind of anxious because it's these big stars and nobody wants anybody to get upset. And, so the staff is trying to be professional and keep things going. And I think Paul McCartney picked up on that tension as professional and quiet about it as we were trying to be. He was an empathetic enough person that he picked up on that tension and took it upon himself to go disarm it. And so he walks into the booth, pulls out a harmonica and starts doing and plays a perfect Stevie Wonder impression, and everybody starts cracking up. And then 10 minutes later, Stevie Wonder walks in.
Amazing.
The whole button harmonica slide
oh wow.
Same, I was it was hilarious.
So just dude's an amazing musician and has crazy emotional intelligence.
And I've heard other stories about him from other people that he's just that's one of his biggest strengths. And I guess that was kind of the takeaway lesson from me, is that seeing how powerful that was, how easily he was able to run the session and run the room and keep everybody focused and creative by being a good person. That was a powerful takeaway. I was okay, a big part of this is caring about other people, is caring about what you're going through and being empathetic.
Amazing. Okay, I got 2 more questions for you. First question, I'm sure a lot of people listening are people kind of getting started in their careers. They don't really have as much experience as you do. What's something that, you did at the beginning of your career, or something maybe you didn't do at the beginning of your career that something that you probably did here, having heard your stories, that you think is important for them to hear?
Yeah. I mean, I took every opportunity available to me. And I took every opportunity available to me. I did every session. I think I might have been better served by turning a few opportunities down and having a better work-life balance at the time. But at that point, it's hard to know what those opportunities are that are going to take you to the right place. And it's just important to say yes to everything. So many doors opened up for me because I did sessions over Christmas. Those are some of the first sessions I got at Capitol as an assistant. Was nobody wanted to work over Christmas, but Seth MacFarlane was working on a record. He had a break from shooting. I agreed to be the assistant over Christmas. And was able to, that was like my first session that they were willing to try me out on. I didn't necessarily want to do a bunch of soldering and wiring and stuff like that, but I said yes when that opportunity was available. And it opened so many doors for me. I mean, these new studios were being built, and I was the first guy in the studio, and I knew the studio like the back of my hand by the time they were open. And that served me really well. And then, and the other thing that's really served me well is in an appropriate way, not in a gross way or a way that's going to make the artist uncomfortable or taking pictures when you shouldn't, but having a really active social media presence has been incredibly important to me. Because then people get excited about what you're working on. And I get so many people reaching out to me through Instagram, and I've gotten big gigs through that. And
wow.
It is a legitimate thing, of just like, and it's a thing that young people that are breaking into it can do, is like, make it known that you're working, make it known that you're making records and that you're doing stuff. And the artists appreciate it when you support, when you retweet their stuff and be like, and a little comment of like, it was so great to work with these guys, I love this record, and then repost their thing. And those little things make you part of the team, and they think about you the next time they're doing something.
Wow, that's great advice. How could the audience find you on the internet?
I guess, through my Instagram is Tim O Music 86 or Barefoot Recording. Our website is barefoot-recording.com. There's links to all our socials and stuff like that. And, like I said, I try and keep a really active presence on that. And that's the best way to get in touch.
Amazing. Tim, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and the stories. I really learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone who listens is going to take a lot of things away from this episode. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome, dude. Take care, man, and stay safe out there.
You too.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Secret Sonics.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Tim as much as I did.
If you enjoyed this episode or any of our other episodes, I'd super appreciate it if you would go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It really helps the show. And if you could share this episode or your favorite episode with a friend or two, that would also really help the show move forward. In addition to that, you can find us on social media. Just search for Secret Sonics. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And you can email me at secretsonics@gmail.com if you have any comments, feedback, guests you might want to recommend, anything like that. So that's about it for now. Until next time, I hope you guys have a great week. Stay safe out there and dig in. Bye-bye.